I just wanted a romantic getaway with my fiancé, a perfect, isolated place for us to reconnect. I never imagined that the greatest danger wouldn't be lurking outside, but in the most mundane details of that impeccable house. This happened in February of this year, and to this day, every door I close reminds me that privacy is an illusion sold in pretty packages, and that sometimes the one who offers you refuge is the predator. I'm a graphic designer. I've been working from home for 5 years. My fiancé, Richard, is an engineer. We had planned this trip to Aspen to celebrate our engagement. We chose an Airbnb listed as Serenity Peak Lodge with 98 5-star reviews and magazine-worthy photos, a crackling fireplace, a panoramic view of the snowy valley, a heated infinity pool. It seemed like the perfect retreat for the two of us. I booked it 3 months in advance, wanting to secure the best. The owner, Mrs. Eleanor, was extraordinarily attentive via messages, answering every question with meticulous detail, almost apologizing for any minor inconvenience that might arise, which I, naively, interpreted as exemplary professionalism. We arrived on a Friday, around 2 in the afternoon. The day was overcast, but the air was cold and crisp, promising the atmosphere we were looking for. The house was even more impressive than in the photos. Everything was impeccable, polished to an extreme, with a soft, enveloping scent of lavender and pine. A bottle of fine red wine was already chilling in the small glass wine fridge. We left our bags in the entryway. I went to explore the open-concept kitchen, and Richard, excited, went to light the fireplace I had asked to have prepared. He came back with a slight frown. "That's weird," he murmured. "One of the small decorative objects on the living room shelf, a little porcelain horse figurine, was just a bit out of place, just a touch." He straightened it, and I barely registered it. That porcelain horse, which I hadn't even noticed before, would become the first sign that something was deeply wrong. The first night, around 11 at night, as we were cuddling on the couch to watch a movie, Richard swore he heard a noise coming from the hallway that led to the bedrooms. A shuffling of shoes, he described it, slow and deliberate. I went to check, armed with a flashlight and Richard's promise that if I wasn't back in 5 minutes, he'd come looking for me. There was nothing. The silence of the house, once welcoming, now felt thick, heavy. We attributed the sound to the wind, or maybe the old structure of the house, something a place like Aspen might have in spades. On Saturday morning, while I was making coffee, I noticed something peculiar. The sugar bowl on the kitchen counter looked like it had been recently used. A little sugar spilled on the rim, a slight smudge on the glass. I had meticulously wiped and dried everything the night before, as I always do in any place I stay. It was strange, since it was just the two of us and no one else had access to the house. I whispered to Richard, who was cleaning up the breakfast mess. He shrugged, saying maybe I was a little obsessed with cleaning, or that the wind, which was blowing hard outside, could have knocked something light on the counter, spilling the sugar. But the feeling that something was wrong intensified in the afternoon. I went to the living room bookshelf to grab a book I wanted to read, and there it was, The Porcelain Horse. This time, it wasn't just misaligned, it was turned completely upside down. My blood ran cold instantly. I looked at Richard, who was on the balcony, admiring the view, his back to me. "Richard," I called out, my voice trembling, "did you touch the horse again?" He turned, confused. "No, why? I fixed it yesterday." The air seemed to thin. It was impossible that it had been him. So what or who could have done it? A deep unease began to settle in me. I decided to go to the bathroom to compose myself. As I opened a drawer to get a tissue, my fingers brushed against something unusual. A strand of hair, platinum blonde and very short. I stared at it. I had long, dark hair. So did Richard. A silent, piercing dread began to take hold. It wasn't paranoia. It was a presence. That night, Saturday, turned into a nightmare. We tried to ignore the chills, the indistinct noises that seemed to come from the walls, the constant feeling of being watched. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up to a noise. It wasn't a distant sound, but a soft, rhythmic one, coming from just outside our bedroom door. It sounded like someone scraping something against the wood, slowly, deliberately. My heart hammered against my ribs. I grabbed Richard's arm, whispering in his ear, "Someone's out there." He woke up, groggy, but the panic in my voice alerted him. We lay motionless in bed, listening. The scraping stopped. Then a faint click. The unmistakable sound of the door latch giving way. It wasn't brute force. It was something more subtle, almost delicate. The door began to creak open, tiny fractions of an inch, revealing an even deeper darkness from the hallway. I was frozen. I couldn't scream, couldn't move. I could see the outline of a figure standing right there in the opening. I couldn't make out any features, just the slender, motionless silhouette. The house's scent of lavender and pine was replaced by a cloying, sweet odor, like cheap perfume mixed with mildew. The figure took a step into the room. The wooden floorboard groaned, an agonizing sound that echoed in the oppressive silence. The silhouette moved slowly toward us. I could feel its gaze on us, a physical weight that suffocated me. Richard, in a flash of adrenaline, threw the bedside lamp in the figure's direction. It dodged with surprising agility, and the lamp crashed against the wall with a bang. In the instant the figure moved to evade it, the dim light from the hallway briefly illuminated its face. It wasn't a stranger. It was a woman, a blonde woman with short hair and a thin, disturbing smile on her lips. I recognized her from the photos Mrs. Eleanor had posted in the Airbnb listing. She looked a little different from the pictures, older, her eyes deeper and darker. It was the owner herself. She said nothing, just watched us, standing in the middle of the room, the door open behind her. A piece of metal, thin and silver, glinted in her hand. It looked like a master key. Adrenaline gave me strength. I pulled Richard out of bed. We ran for the bathroom door and locked ourselves inside. The sound of approaching footsteps, the soft click of the bathroom lock being tampered with, and then a low, satisfied laugh from the other side. We stayed locked in the bathroom until dawn, trembling, listening to the silence. With every creak, we thought she was coming back. When the first rays of sun filtered through the cracks in the window, we dared to come out. The bedroom door was wide open, the broken lamp on the floor, but there was no sign of her. We ran out of the house, not even grabbing our bags, and drove straight to the sheriff's office. I told the sheriff everything. He listened patiently, taking notes. When I finished, he sighed. "Ma'am, we understand your fear, but without concrete proof, without witnesses, it's hard to proceed. Mrs. Eleanor has excellent reviews, and the house is registered in her name. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding." He suggested she might have mental health issues. I asked to see the record of other incidents at the property. He refused, saying that information is confidential. We left the station without a formal report, just some vague advice to be more careful. That afternoon, still shaken, we searched online. We found a discreet travelers forum. There was a thread about vacation rentals with a weird history. A post from 6 months ago described an almost identical experience in Aspen, in a house that sounded like our Serenity Peak Lodge, though the name was slightly different. The user reported a break-in, a manipulated lock, and the presence of a blonde woman who looked like the owner, but denied everything. No legal action was ever taken against her. The post ended with, "She just moves on, changes the listing name, the phone number, and keeps going." A feeling of helplessness consumed us. We knew she was out there, probably re-editing the listing, ready for her next victim. Now, at home, nothing feels safe anymore. I double lock all the doors and windows, even during the day. I check every corner before I go to sleep. If I hear a strange noise on the street, my heart races. I avoid traveling, especially to unfamiliar places. If I have to, I obsessively research the host and the location, looking for any red flag. The simple sight of a small decorative object can send a shiver down my spine. The scent of lavender and pine, which once meant comfort, now makes me nauseous. Every door I close reminds me that privacy is an illusion sold in pretty packages, and that sometimes the one who offers you refuge is the predator. I don't know who she is or why she does it, but I know she's out there, and I will never feel completely safe again.